Welcome back to DUBBZI Bricks for another episode of building Gotham City in Lego. And with just a few days to go till BRICKCON in CORK, I've still got a lot of work to get done on this build here. Now, as I mentioned in the last update, I'm not worrying about the interior for BRICKCON. I'm just getting the exterior done, as this is how I'm going to be exhibiting it. So I won't be taking the removable panels off. If people want to have a peer in that, I will obviously show them what it's like in there, but I'm not going to be leaving it open whilst it's on display. Once I've got it all finished, then that's when I'll be doing that. But I've got things like the water here all to finish up. And the back, there's some rock work I need to complete where the back cave is. So all these things we can again get done in this update. The front section here, we've got to do the path, we've got to do all the fencing, I need to do some trees. Yeah, there's loads to get done. And also, I've managed to find out a black one of those, so we'll be able to get that all tidied up as well. And also, we've got the details on the roof go. So there's lots to do and very little time to do it in. So let's stop talking and let's get building. And this is the first section I'm going to be working on, and we're going to have 3 parts to this. I'm only going to be working on 2 of them today, and that's the rock work and the roof section. But there will be a section in here which is going to have the lights built into it. So it'll be the lights lighting up the back cave and also the tunnel bit just here. So the sewer pipe, I want there to be a flickering light like a candle in there. But I'm not going to be doing that part for the time being, as it's not important for BRICKCON, because I won't be actually showing the internal side of this. So let's get that rock work built and also the top part. And that's the removable rock work panel and the roof section all completed, and it just pops off nice and easy. Now with this part, it will be kept in place by gravity, as I'm intending on having the exercise yard above it. So I'm just going to take this whole section now back over to the table and work out how big an exercise yard we can make. And here is the area where I was considering putting the exercise yard, and it's very small, but it is possibly big enough in the scheme of things for Arkham Asylum. However, there was a great comment in the last video about actually putting the exercise yard up on the roof here. And there's something about that idea that I just feel is very Gotham-y. It's the sort of thing I wouldn't at all be surprised to see in Gotham City. And what I would do is I'd actually raise the roof up by 2 bricks. So come up to around about here. So this bit of build I've got here will be 2 bricks higher. So this will be staying exactly as it is. So if you can imagine that this has got 2 rows of bricks below it, then we'll have the roof and then it'll be cut out. So in theory, this centre bit here, this here is 2 bricks deep at the moment. If I went for, say, 3 bricks below, this then be 5 bricks deep, which is pretty much a minifigure. And then along the top here, rather than having this part here, I would have the fence element with this part just here. Alternatively, I could put the fence element in there and keep that one on the side as well. So it's just something that I'm thinking about at the moment. I do want this to look the best I can. Obviously, I am really restricted with time at the moment, as I need to get the external side of this all completed within the next couple of days, ready for BRICKCON. So it's things like this. I could just make the exercise yard up here, take a fraction of the time. I've got it. I'll be happy with how it looks, but it's not the optimal build. So yeah, we just need to decide on what we want to do with that. And here we have the exercise yard on the top of the structure. So I decided to give it a go and see how it looked. And it's not what I'm after. It just doesn't look quite right. There's something about it. Having the hole in the roof section just here, for example, I could build a structure over it, but if it was in real life, you'd have the rain going down if it was raining. So yeah, it's just not working for me. So I think I'm going to go back to my original idea of having the exercise yard down on this section just here. So let's convert the roof back to how it was previously. Luckily, the bit in the centre came off in one chunk, so it's going to take just a couple of minutes just to get it back to how it was before. And then we'll make a start on the actual exercise yard we were going to put down the bottom there. And the next section I'll work on is the wall that's going along the edge here and on the inside just there as well. And it's going to look the same as we have just here, I think. So the reason I've taken the removable panels away is just so I can hold underneath here whilst pushing down on the bricks. It was a little bit flexible just here. I don't want to push down too hard and for it to break. But obviously, I want the bricks to be compressed together nicely. So let's get that all built up and see how it looks. And there we have the fence all the way around Arkham Asylum. And the only parts I need to do are just either side of the gate just there. But I'm not 100% sure yet what I want to do with that section. So I may actually continue the brickwork out in the dark bluish grey as opposed to putting any more of these actual fence elements. It would have been nice to have had some bars going across the top. However, unfortunately, I don't actually have any more of those pieces and I won't be able to get any in before the convention. But it's nice just seeing it nice and tidy like this. If I do come across any other pieces which I think will look good on there, then I'll add them on a little bit later. And there we have the exercise court, and I decided to put it in a light bluish grey, just so there's a bit of contrast to the actual building just there. I was thinking about putting in the reddish browns that match this over here. However, the way I'm looking at it is this is an extension onto the actual island itself, onto the build of Arkham Asylum. So I wouldn't have thought they would have gone back to using that colour brickwork. So I'm quite happy to leave that as the light bluish grey. Now all we've got in here are a couple of benches. There's no exercise equipment or anything like that. I was going to put a ball game in there. However, if they're playing ball and they throw the ball too high, they're going to lose the ball into the ocean. So yeah, we're just going to leave it nice and plain like that for the time being. I do need to change a couple of the tiles off in there for jumper plates. That way we can pose the minifigures in there later on. And then we just have a few bits of random greenery put along the side of the rockwork just there. Just breaks up the grey a little bit. And around this side as well, we've changed the tree and we've gone for a red one here. And much happier with the dark red. Just giving another colour on there. Where I was putting the olive green on the ground here as well, I just wanted to change a little bit up with the trees as well. But there we have it. Now we've got that sorted, let's turn our attention to a different part of the build. And here we have the bridge supports all in place, and I've decided to go for a pretty simple design of using masonry bricks and the half circles on here. So these are pieces I picked up off of the pick a brick wall, which have come in handy. I have used some of the ribbed effect circular bricks just there for extra texture. But it took me a while to come up with a design that I was happy with. I was originally going to go for an iron looking bridge, however I didn't have the parts and I want to get this all sorted. And I wanted something that I thought you could imagine it being built 100 years ago or whatever, when this structure started or was put together, or even longer ago than that. And this is the design that I've come up with. So yeah, really happy with how that's come together. One thing I might do is actually shrink the width of it by a couple of studs on each side. And that's purely as at the moment, I want it central with the entrance just here, and I'm just 2 studs onto this base plate, whereas if I put it over onto the other one, it's just going to mean that transporting it is that little bit easier. But what we're going to do now is just make the bit that goes across it, the actual bridge itself, and see what we can come up with on that. And as I mentioned before, we've got the Technic holes here, so it's something which is able to clip into place. And there we have the base of the bridge. So the road will sit in this section just here and we'll just come up to the top of that brick. So I just need to build this up by 2 or 3 bricks higher and then add all of the details along the sides. I put these brackets on here just so I can add some more details, and I'll also add something onto the legs as well, just to give it as much Gotham-like character as possible. So let's get that all built up and I'll check back in and show you what we've come up with once we've done so. And there we have the first attempt at the decorations on the bridge with it all in place here. And there's something about it I'm not quite happy with. I feel like the decorative thing's possibly a little bit out of style. It looks a little bit more modern, I think, for my liking, to what the actual asylum itself is. So I'm just going to think about different ways of decorating the top of the legs and possibly the bottoms as well. I'm just wondering whether it'd be better if it had a circular part on there. But again, it's just something I'm thinking about. We'll come back to that a little bit later. And Arkham Island's looking a lot more complete now. We've done a lot of tidying up, a lot of tiling, and added several more details to the build just to make it look that little bit better. This is the first time I've had this much water in Gotham City, and it really is pleasing to the eye. And I'm really happy with how the waves have come out on here. It's so time consuming doing it. I think it was taking me about 1 hour and 20 minutes to do 148 by 48 grey base plate. So yeah, took quite a while, but all good fun. Now, some of the details we've added this life ring down here on the dock area, as well as this bit of wood just sticking up here. And that's for the boats to chuck the rope around to keep the boat in place once it's docked. Now, as we come up the steps here, we've now got a lock on the gate here. So the island, this area here is totally secure, so nobody can get out. Now, with the fences, I will do a lot of work on these in the future. However, I didn't have the parts, and I'm happy with how they look. It's not like there's going to be people trying to scale over them. There are going to be security guards around whenever anybody's being transported around. So if they do try climbing over, they'll soon get captured. Now, as we come around here, we've got the greenhouse, and this is the part I want to work on next. Trying to improve the plants that are coming out of the top here with poison ivy on that. I think that's going to look a lot better, and it'd be nice to try and create something that's really colourful. Only problem is I'm really short on pieces to do this sort of thing, so it's going to be interesting to see what we can come up with. Need to find a 4x1 modified plate to go in there. This one with a stud on each end and a tile in the middle. We've got another life ring over on the back here outside of the lighthouse, and we've also got the cobbled effect path that goes all the way round and down to the graveyard. Now around the side here you've got the bar effect, and that's just as there's a door there, and that's the only way that somebody could get from the main building to the lighthouse, so we had to have a bit of security on there. And then up the top here we've added a fair few details. We've got the air conditioning unit, a couple of chimneys round there, and then again, same again over here, we've got an air conditioning unit, some chimneys which are just above the shower room, so I'd imagine the steam would be coming out there, and then we've got the water tower on the top. Now around the side here we have got a little bit of greenery on the side of the rock work, and we've now got this rock formation just here. Now I did at one stage have a tower on top of this, a guard tower, and there was a path that led across, or a bridge that led across to the main island, and then along the side here. And I should put an image on the screen now of what it looked like, but I just wasn't happy with it. There was something about it just didn't look right, and in the end I scrapped the idea. So at this moment in time there's not going to be a guard tower on Arkham Island. I will try and add one to the lighthouse at some stage, but whether or not I can get that done before Cork, I'm not sure. I need to do some rock work on these plates just down here at the bottom. But one other thing I want to turn my attention back to is the bridge. I really do not like these details I've got on the top there, so I want to get those all changed over. So let's take the bridge and the greenhouse back over to my table and see what improvements we can make. And here we have the latest version of the bridge. I'm much happier with the details on the top of the bridge there now. I will be making some slight amendments to them in the future. What I would like to do is put some statues of some description on this section. However, I haven't got the parts I need to do that at the moment, so it's just going to have to wait. But this is, I'm happy with having it like this, ready for the convention. Now, if we come round to this side of Arkham, we have got the greenhouse. We've made a slight improvement, or at least I think it's an improvement, for the plant coming out of the top. There's a couple of studs there all ready for poison ivy to be stood on. Now, I have put a couple of minifigures around the island. However, they're not final, and I need to put a load of jumper plates in so I can get them all in position. One other thing that I have added are several of these stud shooters here, and they're going to act as security cameras. So I've got them pointing in all different directions around Arkham, as at the moment we have no guard tower. So I've gone pretty much as far as I can with the build now, with the parts I've got available to me. I'm really looking forward to exhibiting this in Cork. Now, if you haven't got your tickets yet, there is an offer at the moment where if you use the code DUBBZI when placing an order, the first 20 people to use the code will get 15% off of their ticket price, but there will also be tickets available on the day. So please pop along and see the mock. There are going to be some fantastic builds at BRICKCON in Cork, I'm sure, and it's always a great day out when you go to one of these conventions. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please remember to give us a big thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future content on the channel. And if you know anybody else you think would be interested in building Gotham City in Lego, if you could share the channel with them, it'd be much appreciated. Anyway, thanks for popping on by, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.